Thank you. Thanks for
Well,
having
what
me,
have
Kristin.
we gotten ourselves into?
I don't know.
Oh no. Episode 3, Shiny Objects. Thank you guys so much for coming. Coming in early before the main event. Super lucky to have a nice engaged audience here, and we have a ton to go through. So I'm just gonna jump right in. This is really all about women's sports and the beautiful work that MassMutual has put together in their new Stay Ready campaign. So, we know that women's sports is having a huge moment right now. This is a massive market opportunity that you guys have really have been working toward for a very long time. So in this episode, live from Boston's Ad Club Women's Leadership Forum.
Woo-hoo. Yeah.
First live episode.
Love it. Perfect topic, too, with all these women here.
That's right. So I'm here with Kristin Lane, Head of Customer Activation and Engagement at MassMutual. And we're going to discuss why investing in women's sports is a long-term game and not this passing fad. We'll unpack MassMutual's new Get Ready campaign, which goes way beyond sponsorships and really kind of gets into the addressing some of the more important stuff, right? Financial empowerment for women investors, featuring athletes like Flau'jae Johnson, who had a great game last night.
Fabulous.
Madison Keys and Kristen Press. So you launched the campaign very recently during the very start of March Madness. And the campaign really taps into those cultural moments within women's sports and providing real financial tools, which we'll get into in a much deeper way very soon. And that really kind of helps student athletes and their fans take control of their financial futures. So you've really had a storied career in sports marketing, and you have a very important role here in bringing some of the work that you've done in the campaign to really keep a high engaged audience for a long period of time and keeping the brand super relevant all the while. So can you kind of talk through your leading up to this role at MassMutual and kind of the career that got you to where you are today?
Yeah, thank you so much, Kristin, and thank you to the Ad Club for having me here today. I'm looking up to, can everyone hear me in the back of the room? I know. Okay, fabulous. Great.
Hi, Allison.
Hi, Allison. So my career in sports marketing started really at the very beginning of my professional career in 1992 when I was worked at Fleet Bank. And we actually did a program. Barb Riley in the room here was one of the leads on our account at Arnold. And we had a program where we had a bunch of athletes. We had, at the time, Rebecca Lobo, Mo Vaughn, Mia Hamm, Drew Bledsoe. And we had all of these athletes, and we said, well, how can we leverage this opportunity? And so we essentially went all around Boston, and we awarded youth groups that were doing good work in their communities with visits from the athletes. And that sort of launched my career in the space, which continued at Citizens Bank, with my own consulting firm at Arnold, and now MassMutual. And when I look back at all of the different opportunities that I've had, it's exciting. At Citizens Bank, we became the naming rights of the Philadelphia Phillies, home of the Phillies. The park still looks fabulous to this day. The sign that we created in the outfield still rings true. At my own consulting firm, I actually had an opportunity to work on a partnership for OCBC Bank, which is in Singapore. And they named the first public-private partnership in that part of the world. And so I helped them develop the branding elements and how they were going to bring that partnership to life. At 4040 and then Arnold, I worked with Carnival and helped them expand into different NFL partnerships in key markets. And, since I've been at MassMutual, we've done some amazing things. We became a partner of the Kentucky Derby, which I'm going to talk a little bit more about, and still the Derby remains one of my favorite of all things that we've done. We also have a longstanding partnership with the NHL, and in addition to that, I'm sure you've seen our sign at Fenway Park, and we've got a new patch on the sleeves for the Red Sox, and then we're going to talk about Stay Ready. So just a little context in terms of where I come from and some of the things I've gotten to work on in my career.
Yeah, it's so interesting because what you're highlighting is really this cross-section between a financial institution, the stories that you can tell there, and how you kind of set up your products, and how that kind of lives against the sports world, generally speaking. in a way that just goes way beyond slapping a logo on, right? It's way beyond sponsorship. So how has that sort of trajectory in your career shaped the way that you've approached the work that you've done with MassMutual?
Yeah, thank you. Great question. So, when we embark on this type of sponsorship, there's a reason why brands do this, right? You're leveraging the borrowed equity of the property that you're connecting yourself with, and so I think the first step for any brand is to think about what is the common denominator, what is the thread that knits together both what the brand is about and what the sports property is about. So finding that common thread is the first step. And once you figure that out, the strategy and the vision for how that comes to life can take all sorts of forms. A 60-second spot, a 30, design details in such things as a luxury suite, all the way to the content that you create. So to me, the first step has always been about finding that thread, then going all in on it.
The experience in the venue itself too, it's so much more than just kind of creating a luxury experience, which you always want to kind of show up as a brand in a way that feels premium and things like that, but you're really showing up as fans too.
Yes,
right?
we are.
You are fans of the team itself, and so you're really able to get at the ground level with the fans as well. You get the benefit of collecting those eyeballs for for that kind of sponsorship, but you get much deeper engagement. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of that kind of connection with that audience?
Absolutely, and it's a great. I'm glad you circle back to that because, when we're now entering the third year of our Red Sox Premier partnership. And, we're still, the advertising that we have in market that surrounds the relationship is still about, we're fans too. Like, you just got your biggest fan when you signed on with MassMutual. And so building that connection with an audience it's crucial, or else you lose them. When I think about the Kentucky Derby, which I love to talk about, and hopefully there's a lot of folks that'll be tuning in the first Saturday
Mint
in
juleps,
May.
anyone?
Mint juleps,
Mint juleps?
yeah, hats. But for MassMutual, we anchored the activation of that sponsorship around traditions, right? Traditions that bind us was the name of the sort of the campaign thread. And then the way we brought it to life was, we thought about, where does it make sense for the brand to show up within the race itself? And when you look at the Derby, when you think about our brand we're a mutual company, which means that we're owned by our policyholders. We're not traded on the stock exchange. And so, when you think about what mutuality means, it's the way that we rely on others, and it's that shared experience that we all have as part of humanity that really connects us together. So at the Derby, the singing of My Old Kentucky Home is not only one of the traditions, but something that people do together. We also selected it because nobody, hopefully, watches the Derby alone. You're watching it with family, you're watching it with friends. It's a group event, and it's a shared experience. So I guess I would say those are important. And lastly, contextual relevance of the work is critical. So we've been a partner of the NHL since 2019. And I should mention Jennifer Halloran, who's our fierce marketing leader in the room here, has been a huge proponent of us taking the brand in places that are unexpected, and she always challenges us to say, like, I want us to show up in places where no one would expect to see MassMutual. And we have successfully done that time and again. But I point out that the NHL partnership, since the beginning, we also did a side deal with the NHL Players Association because we use real athletes in our work, and that's a big, big part of connecting with fans. Contextually relevant creative in the games is important. And so that's always been the underpinning of our strategy.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of thought and care that goes into it. I think, when consumers are spending most of their time avoiding advertising, right? There's so many opportunities to show up in ways that are additive to their lives and additive to the experiences. Sports is such a great place for that, right? There are memorable moments in our lives. There are these pit moments and there are these peak moments. And those are the things that we really take away. And when you're showing up in this kind of ultimate peak moment for their lives, you get to show up in a really authentic way that makes them really see that you care and you understand not just why they're there, but why you're there, and get a deeper kind of experience.
Absolutely.
So kind of leading into sort of the bulk of this conversation in women's sports, you know, I think there are some great parallels to the work that you've done in sports in general, and in the men's leagues. We can all feel it, right? There's a lot of momentum happening. There's some conversations that are going to be happening later today about women's sports and female athletes. From your perspective and all of the work that you've done, the data that you've read, and the partnerships that you have created to make this work, what is it about women's sports that's really more than this passing fad, this deep momentum that's happening?
Right. So here's the deal. It's not a shiny object, right?
Yeah,
so
she said it, guys.
Yeah,
She said it.
it is not a shiny object. So when we were talking for a long time about how we could approach this market in a way that was authentic to who we are and served what we do as well, because we didn't just want to like slap our name on something. We never do that. We're very considerate about how we approach these things, because we know you can either gain fans or you can lose them, and we've all seen examples of brands that have done that
100%.
quite successfully. So you know, one of my favorite quotes about women's sports was in the Washington Post, which said, you know, women's sports can do one thing that men's can't, which is get bigger, right? So this is not a
Write
passing,
it down.
right?
Write it down.
Get bigger. So it's like a hockey stick trajectory when you look at all of the upside to it. We also know as a financial services brand that women control $71 trillion in economic activity. So hats off, ladies. That's huge. And then by the year 2030, they're going to inherit another, is it 3 trillion, Krista? Yeah. 30? Thank you. The analytics folks have it. $30 trillion in assets, right? So look, Stay Ready is the next step in MassMutual's commitment to helping women gain financial confidence.
Awesome. Let's I think we should watch the anthem. Yeah. We have 2 videos that we would love to show. We'll start with the anthem, and then we have some long form content.
Today's game doesn't start with the tip-off. It starts off the court, with all the work you put in. Putting in reps, putting up shot after shot, putting everything into mind over matter, and putting together the right team so you can take what's yours. Because preparation is everything, on the court and off.
The right team can help you get ready and stay ready. MassMutual is committed to helping all women plan, protect, and grow their financial futures.
Thank you. This was a labor of love, believe me.
And it's like for viewers, it's like that's some run through a brick wall type stuff. I'm like, yeah, it's hard to stay in my seat right now.
You know what's cool about that too? We hired a female director to produce it, Child, who was amazing. I wasn't on the shoot, but Krista and Jen were there, and I mean, this work it's powerful,
yeah.
and it's unexpected, I think, for MassMutual.
Absolutely. One important kind of thing with this is, you know, when you're doing sports partnerships, things evolve, the industry evolves, the landscape evolves. Yeah. MassMutual is not new to sports sponsorships and things like that, but how has this experience, kind of looking back, how has your approach evolved over time?
Well, I think what we have found is that, you know, I'm not going to say we do a lot of analysis, okay? So we've got a few people in the room here in our analytics team, and they really help us understand what are the things that are making whatever it is we're doing most successful, what's resonating most. I mean, if you ever saw the like spider graph of all of the analytics that we look at, it's pretty stunning. I mean, We're a company that's filled with a lot of people that are very good at math. So we and so we have to be too.
Shout
And
out
so
to math. It makes great creative.
No, but in all seriousness, like there's only so much you can say in a 60, as you saw. And I know you wanted me to get to this, Kristin, but one of the other things we found super successful is also creating longer form content to go deeper on the stories, because this can only say so much. And you got to remember, like, as we think about some of the elements of this, each one of these women has an amazing fan base, right? And so how do we go a little bit more behind the scenes, tell more of their story? We know that there is intent to learn more. And so the longer form content, which in this case we created with The Athletic, which the New York Times owns, really goes deeper and it kind of unpacks each one. And so that's been a winning formula for us. And we've done that with NHL, we've done it with the Derby, we've done it across our different sports investments.
Yeah, looking at sort of that integrated campaign landscape is super important because, you know, it kind of elevates the totality of the experience that a consumer is going to have, right? Yes. And long form content, in and of itself, content can often be this shiny object, right? When you're looking at what your media plan should be, you kind of say, okay, do I need a 30-second? Do I need this beautiful anthem? Do I want to do a bunch of social? Are we going to do a long form content? How are we going to support that with media? And who is it ultimately for? And I think in this case, you're not kind of looking at it through a let's fill the media plan approach. You're saying, you know, these athletes have an engaged audience themselves. Yes. And what a perfect foray to start to talk about these deeper messages and really the products that are the underpinning of the campaign.
We always think, always audience first. If you don't think about it from the perspective of the audience, you're not going to get it right. And so you're spot on there. One of the things we also need to do with this long form content is, you know, we drive 6 million prospect visitors a year to MassMutual.com, which is a good number. And, you know, if anybody's interested in learning more about how we're unique and in how we approach financial planning with women, visit MassMutual.com/stay ready. You'll also see that this, the 60 as well as the long form editorial piece, but there's also tools there to help you. And so we need to think about the entire ecosystem, including what happens when somebody likes the brand enough to come and visit our digital storefront and delivering on the customer experience at that touch point as well.
Do we want to watch the long form piece? Yes. And then we can get a little bit deeper into some of the specific products that we're offering throughout the campaign.
Love it.
Like I always tell people, the ball gonna stop bouncing one day. And I want to set myself up to where when I'm done playing basketball, that I'm able to have my money make money for me, to take care of my family for generations. I'm Flau'jae Johnson. I'm a basketball player, artist, entrepreneur, investor, and much, much more. I've been playing basketball since I can walk. I remember my mom, she bought my brother this hoop, and I used to play on it all the time. He never would play on it. I love the way the ball sounds. I love the way this net sound when it's swished. You get lost in it. I came from a background where we had nothing. So basketball kind of opened my eyes and opportunities for me in high school. But I thought music was my way out. That's how me and my dad connect, through music. He died before I was born, but his music just inspired me to just go pursue my dreams. I hate when people say, oh, you're a rapper on the side, or you're a basketball player on the side. No, these are both of my careers. And once my mama kind of put it in my brain that, no, you're gonna be a rapper and you're gonna be a basketball player, I started planning like, I can do something that's never been done before. So I just went to work. I'm gonna shoot for the moon, like I'm always gonna shoot for the moon. I went from unranked to an All-American, and that was kind of unheard of. My junior year, there was a little bit of whispers about college players being able to be paid, and man, once I got my first offer, I was like, wow, this is real. Like I only have 4 years to make money in college and to be a student athlete that's getting paid, so I have to be smart about this. My family's still struggling in Savannah, Georgia right now. And so that makes me want to be tighter with my finances, with my investing, being smart with my money. I'm a big planner. And so my financial advisor definitely helped me plan and give me a lot of resources to help with my financial future. My goal is to own one of those big buildings in New York and have all of my businesses operating out of a skyscraper. That's where my mind is from the business aspect. I want to own sports teams when I retire. I want to have my own shoe. I want to have my own brands. I want to be the person that the kids can look up to and be like, Flau'jae did two things at once. She overcame adversity, and she did it the right way. That's the legacy I want to leave.
It's incredible, touching work.
How inspiring is Flau'jae? She's amazing.
Watch an hour of that.
She's amazing. You know, it's a funny story too how the world works. But Jen and I were at Cannes last year in the women's sports house that Deep Blue had there, and Laura Carentes sat me next to Flau'jae's mom, and that started this little bit of like a love affair with that family, and we really got to know both the mom and Flau'jae through that experience. And so when we were looking for someone who was going to be sort of the lead of the campaign, we selected her. And what you may have picked up or maybe not was we did license the rights to the Fuji song, Ready or Not. And Flau'jae actually recorded that as well. So we used her recording of that. So again, it's like a lot of little details.
It's the details.
Yeah, details matter.
And you can feel it, right? The care, the effort that you all went into, the partnerships that were required to pull something like this off. You know, I'll speak for myself. I have severe ADHD. And I am a dreamer and I am a creative. And so when it comes to finances, I don't have the financial literacy that I probably should at 38 years old. When you start to create content like this, to put it in real context, and to get into the details of a life of a young woman like this, it really starts to put context to some of the content that we need to understand, but maybe can't really get there. And I think there's such tangible evidence that this can be, I mean, not to overblow it, but a real life-changing experience for young women, and you know, young people.
One thing I'll say is, you know, what we're trying to do with Stay Ready really at the core is to elevate the power of preparation, right? Because when you have a financial professional that you're working with, to set a strategy, a vision, and you've got that right team in your corner, it just unlocks so many opportunities. I mean, we always encourage people to take that first step, meet with a financial planner, and you will feel such a sense of relief. I mean, in other work, not here, but we always try to talk about the relief that you have in having the right people in your corner. And when you think about like, well, what's the product for this? What's MassMutual trying to sell here? What we're trying to do is help close the confidence gap that women have. We do have a body of research. We've got the early results on. We're going to be sharing that at Google's Possible event in Miami in April. But there are real differences between the way women and men think about money. And our advisors are armed with that information so that when one of you walks into their office, they understand a bit more context about where you're coming from. But never hesitate to take the first step. It took me years to do it because I thought they were going to tell me, you can't stay at these expensive hotels you seem to have a big propensity for. And I was like, oh God, if we go and talk to this person, they're going to tell us like we can't do this. And in fact, what we left with was a sense of relief, which was, you're on the right track, like spend more. And it was like, wow, okay, good. I mean, that's just a funny little anecdote, but there is the relief that comes in having a plan.
Absolutely. You can see the detail in all of this, and you know, the impact that it's making. This is just scratching the surface of the content that you've all created in this campaign, and it takes a true village to kind of check all of those boxes and really create that holistic approach. Do you want to talk a little bit more just about that? You know, the time that it took, the planning and the partnership that went into creating this.
I always say that any good relationship starts with trust, right? You've got to trust the people that you're working with, whether that's your financial professional or your agency partners. And we truly think of our agencies as partners, not a vendor, not a contractor, none of that. They are partners of ours. And we have to hold hands and walk through this together when you hit speed bumps and it gets tough. If we didn't trust each other, we wouldn't be able to make work that's this great, and we've done so many things with Giant Spoon and now Deep Blue over the years. I mean, we've done some of the most innovative media activations that have ever been done with Giant Spoon as a partner, and we have built an enormous amount of trust in one another. And that extends even to The Athletic. The New York Times has been a long-term partner of ours. They understand our brand, they understand our message, and they help us come up with innovative ways through their content studio to bring it to life, right? And so, I always say you get more bees with honey. So I try to be nice to everybody, figuring that, that's going to return to me in spades. And I do believe that when you treat people with respect, you get back what you want. And so we've just had like these amazing relationships, and they will continue for us. Yeah.
Well, congratulations
Thank
on
you.
the work. It's incredible. And I can't wait to see the long-term impact that it makes, because the effort is so clear and the thoughtfulness is so clear. I like to think of this show as a bit of an investigative approach of what's a shiny object and what isn't. Thank you so much for kind of breaking this all down for us. I think, it's easy to kind of look at women's sports and female athletes and try to approach it from a Wheaties box approach, right? And really kind of slap the logo on and maximize eyeballs. And we're looking for a deeper impact. There's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. And you guys have certainly broken through, and I'm so excited to see the impact that it makes.
Thank you, Kristin. Thank you for having me.
Yes,
It was great.
Thank you.
Can I leave the audience with 3 tips?
Please.
Just like 3 things to walk away with. Find the common thread, build contextually relevant creative work, and then find the right moment to put it into market. Those are if that's all you do, you will win every single time. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.